afternoon, Final Fantasy Randomizer fans. This is DVS. I'll be joined here shortly by Dark Moon EX, and what we have for you today is something very special. You can probably already see it by the layout that we have in front of us, but this is going to be one crazy ride. So what we have today is the third and fourth place match for our Fall League 2020 against the Trash Island Fire Department and the Center for Competitive Forfeiting. Now, what you may already notice is we have 4 runners per team, and all 4 runners will be running simultaneously. The other thing that you may not notice from this screen is that we have a ton of tri-state flags for you today. So I'm just going to walk through, and I'm going to try to prep us. We're going to try to do this together. We're going to try to figure out, how do we even watch this thing? So, for starters, here are the flags that we know. We know that these are on. We have Town Shuffle, Tavern Mode, Vanilla Black Belt Crit Rate, Enemy and Boss Stats from 40 to 280, and we have Experience at 2.5x plus 160 plus 5% per key item, and we have Encounter Rate at 0.4.6. Now for the tri-state flags. So what this means is, every single one of these flags that I'm about to mention may or may not be on. And what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to keep you up to date with which flag we find and whether or not, or basically the implications of finding that flag. So here are our tri-states.
I seriously hope your list is everything else.
Oh, it's basically everything else. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19.
Yeah.
19 tri-states.
Tri-state turn bike.
By the way, that's Darkman. Thank you, Darkman.
Yep.
He'll be joining me after I do my whole, of information. So, shops may or may not have randomized armor and may or may not have caster and elite gear. Item magic may or may not be shuffled. We might have unrunnable first strike encounters. We may have unsafe pirates. Trap tiles could be vanilla, could be randomized. If they're randomized, they might be random formations, or they might be vanilla formations. We may have better trap treasures. Fetch quests could be vanilla, or they could be standard incentivized. The only one I see right now we can confirm is that the ship is not going to be in our flag set. But we may have a random canal. And on top of that, we may have a random Raycon desert dock. Let's see. We have tri-state locations. Every single location that's not an NPC for incentive locations is tri-stated. We have tri-stated weapons and armor. So Massa, Excal, Katana, Bonk, White Shirt, Black Shirt, all of that tri-stated. Tri-stated Confused Old Men, tri-stated Blessed Armor, and Blessed Weapons. They are treated separately. And we may or may not have clamp stats. Now, from our perspective, you can also see that we have our, what are they called? Party comps have randomizations. Slot 1 could be anything except a white mage. Slot 2 is either a red mage or a nun. Slot 3 is anything except black belt or thief, and slot 4 is a forced thief. In a couple seconds, we're about to start, and here's what I want to challenge you to do. Try not to look at each individual box, but we have to treat each group of 4 boxes as a single player. So you're going to see them go to Canaria, you're going to see them probably all head to the magic shops, and from there, you're going to see all 4 players on both sides head in completely different directions. So, here we go. We're already starting off, and everyone is going directly to
Shuffle magic.
Canary's Castle, just as I thought.
Bane, Confused, Cure 4. That's lovely, even though, you're going to need a white mage for that one. Thankfully, I think, a couple people picked white mages. That'll be nice for them. But yeah, Bane, Cake, Zap, Confused, those are actually all legitimately decent to use spells. All of them were ones that I would actually take depending upon the instances of what I find.
Yeah, and it looks like we do have elite weapons and gear in our shops. We do not have blurst weapons. I don't think I've seen armor yet.
Floater immediately for 7,200, so as soon as we get that canal, if the are docks tri-state or are the docks off?
So all of the docks except for Ryukon are tri-state. So are on.
Okay.
So it looks like we do have worst armor. And we do have Topher checks. We have someone going up to Matoya.
Got a couple people killing Garland already. Yep.
Okay, so it seems interesting.
Okay, hold on. King has the rod, and Princess has the ruby. Okay, continue.
So, Center for Competitive Forfeiting, they are all heading to Topher, whereas Trash Island Fire Department, we have Demon Frog heading up towards Matoya, and it looks like the rest of them are sticking around Canaria. Looks like Danny is doing a grind, as opposed to trying to go off to one of the other locations.
There's merits to each way of doing this. When you send all of your players in different directions, you get a lot more information. But by sending everyone up to take out Garland, for example, you're getting an extra level or two right off the bat, and early on, those levels can be very useful. Not entirely useful right now because we have Elfland sitting at Provoca. That's the shuffling we got right now. But still, useful.
Well, and we did see Warp at level 3 Black Magic, and I think it was like a Cure 3 or a Heal 3 at level 3 White.
Yep, look at it right now, Cure 3.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yep.
And Harm 4 Life. And level 4 Black has Black Temper. I mean, that's some solid early game magic.
I mean, everything I've seen right now, the only thing that we really need at this point is a damage sweeper to go along with the instant death sweepers that we have that aren't quite as effective. I mean, yeah, Harm 4 is a damage sweeper for the White Mage, but it only works against the undead. I'll still take it right now, but we want a damage sweeper that the Red and Black Mages can use regularly. So as soon as we find Provoca and can find out what that damage sweeper is, that's going to help us out a lot in this early game.
Yeah, so what I'm really surprised by right now is how little exploration is happening. I saw a Matoya check, we've seen a Provoca check, we've seen a Dwarf Cave check. I'm really surprised that neither team has head down to Elfland yet. Because in the Elfland area, you have 4 checks.
Well, question is they don't have the ship, so they have to walk it, and is the...
Good point.
Yeah. See, because they may not actually be able to reach it right now, and even if they can, they may not want to actually have to do that hoofing if the ship is up north. So...
Well, but they do, I believe they have open extended progression. Let me go check the flags real quick.
They might not want to hoof it, that's all. But they are probably going to have to. Looks like someone is buying the floater, so that we should see the floater coming. Yep, there it is. That's the floater for the competitive forfeiting side.
Well, and we haven't even talked about this yet. This is co-op, so all of our runners have a linked key item inventory, and so when you see one of our runners buy the floater, you might see them wait a little while and then reset out. And at the top of everybody's screen, you might see in red letters, like, this person has the floater, which essentially gives everybody on their team that key item.
So I saw that the Dwarf Cave, while not having a ship for, quick progression like they probably hoped for, did have the Opal Armor +4. Those parties that have a fighter in them, it's going to be a question of whether or not they keep that, because it's +4 armor for the end game, which is great. Or if they decide to sell that to get the money for it. Like, for instance, you see Rubes has a ninja, or a thief right now, who will become a ninja and can't use the Opal Armor. For them, that's just vendor trash. But probably very well-selling vendor trash.
But, Darkman, I'm starting to get worried. I haven't seen a single one of these runners head south of Dwarf Cave, and everyone's kind of just hanging around Canaria and Provoca.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if they know that Open Extended is a guaranteed flag.
Well, they're all chatting in the same voice chats together, each of the teams, their 4 players. So at some point, someone's going to be like, we've checked everything, where else can we go? And they're going to be like, I guess we have to walk to Elfland, because there's no other option.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm wondering about. So I was part of the Quackening, which ended up going in 2nd place for Fall League, and one of our biggest things was, hey, we have to spread out and find out as much information as we can. And I'm surprised, it seems like they're trying to stick around turn in some money, maybe get some weapons and items. And it looks like we do have our first. It looks like we do have our first runner that's actually heading down. It looks like Lord Fizzlebeef from the Trash Island Fire Department. He's the first one to head past that that dwarf bridge, and we're gonna get our first look at what Elfland is in a few seconds here.
The players are hoping for Provoca down at the Elfland area. We are jerks, everyone here and in the commentary booth and in chat. So we want it to be anything other than Provoca to make them work a little harder.
Right, you know, something like Lefane or maybe
Gaia.
Yeah, something like that.
Something where they're like, great, I can do a turn-in when I can finally do something here. I mean, even Melman would be kind of cool because the spells are just high enough. Well, it's Gaia, so...
Called it! So, and the other thing that we have, like, this is a guaranteed marsh dive. At this point, this is a guaranteed marsh dive. And it's a matter of which of our teams feels confident enough to do that marsh dive. And again, you know, I want to talk about thieves. They have a force thief. I consider that an asset as opposed to a hindrance. How would you feel about a force thief, Darwin?
I've grown to like thieves, primarily because of the fact that we have a bunch of thief fixes in place that assist with the thief at this point. Up their crit rate, make them more viable in combat, and of course just the basic game fix of making their running actually useful. Thieves in vanilla suck. Thieves in the randomizer now, and this version 3.2 that we're running, are actually really freaking good. So, while I would, like, pass up a fighter for just a thief comp, although I have played that before. A fighter or a black belt in conjunction with a thief can be a really unstoppable force come Topher time.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and it looks like Caleb from the Center for Competitive Forfeiting has also done his Marsh dive. Looks like Marsh Top has nothing. Looks like Wappy is joining. Quick check on Rubes here in the bottom right. Center for Competitive Forfeiting.
Pop.
We have a pop grind.
Well, that makes sense. They know that there is only one place left to go at this point. Only one of them has to get the key item. The rest of them don't have to. So, what they can do is just kind of gain some levels and do a little bit of grinding while they're waiting. And then once the one person, as you see here, Demon Frog, gets the ship, and also it looks like the slab was lurking down in Trash Island's area as well. The rest of them can just, you know, immediately move off with their game and start doing whatever else they want.
Yeah, and you notice that the trap tile down there was the fighter, and so right now Rubes is putting himself in a great position to try to have the levels to be able to actually try to take that fighter tile, and it looks like Rubes has been assigned by this team to be the grinder. You basically, hey Rubes, you get in there, you grind, when we find a trap tile, we'll call you, and you are just going to grind up to 42 as quickly as possible.
It's not a bad play. You have 4 people going, and most of the time, 3 of them can cover all the information and item gathering that you need. If you have a level 42 person go in early, they can find out what's going on with Topher and advise the rest of the team exactly how they need to play it and what to expect when they go in.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, they'll find out, hey, does everybody need to go to 32, 42? Do we need to have, like, just the black belt fast? Or is it going to be something that you really have to worry about MDEF and you've got to worry about ribbons? Like, there's a lot of good information that can be gathered from that very first dive. And I think this is a smart play on the side of Center for Competitive Forfeiting. And we'll see if Trash Island ends up pivoting in that direction, or if everyone's going to stick to exploration.
Ryukon dock is on, so that means that the floater is instantly usable, and Trash Island is immediately in the air at the 10-minute mark.
Yeah, so we'll see how quickly Center for Competitive Forfeiting does the same thing. It looks like Caleb is heading towards Crescent Lake, but it's on the north side. And you can see everybody from Trash Island is immediately heading to Ryukon. I love this play. Love this play.
You gotta do it. You need that airship immediately. Caleb is coming down here to see if the dock is on, and will also get his airship. So only about 30 seconds behind, they will be in the air as well. Not really much of a advantage or disadvantage right there. Okay, so we got Provoca at Gaia, French Vanilla Lufane over sitting at the Gaia spot. Still need the airship to reach that no matter what, but you can do the slab turn in as soon as you find out where Melman is at.
Yeah, and we did see at Vanilla Melman, I believe it was on rack, and that had level 7 fast. So it looks like fast is going to be a higher level than you typically want, and we do have Oxiel in the Circle of Sages. And so this is going to play into their Black Mage strategy. I mean, how long do you keep that Black Mage up? How many levels do you give it? And how important is that Black Mage being able to cast multiple fast spells in the end game? And again, that's one of those advantages of having the dive.
Personally, level 26 or so for me is about where I'd take that Black Mage. You're going to get 3 or 4 casts, something like that. I think for level 7, it may have to take it to 30. Now that I think about it, because with the math on that, I'm not going to do math on Twitch. But somewhere in that range, because what you really want is you desperately need fast for the last 3 bosses. You can probably get through Lich and Carry without being able to having to double your hits, but for Kraken, Tiamat, and Chaos, you're going to want to be able to double your hits with fast and be ready for it. So, bare minimum before you go in, you're probably going to want at least 3 casts of it. Also, the Zardia Islands here have the Masamune.
Did you see if it was, oh, right. Blurst armor is on, Blurst weapons is not.
Yep.
And I do want to call out Julia FNS, who said, yep, I don't even know where to look at. Same, actually. But what you want to do is try to get a sense of treat all 4 of the screens as a single player, as opposed to trying to focus on what every single individual is doing. Just try to passively feel the information come towards you.
Yeah, we're just kind of letting it roll over us right now.
Oh, absolutely. You know, we're seeing Cardia checks, we're seeing a volcano on the right side. It looks like each of these teams is starting to spread out a little bit more in terms of what they're focusing on for their key items. And we'll try to keep you up to date as we find different key items in different locations.
Controlled chaos here as we do 4v4 team co-op for our 3rd place All Hallows League match.
And before we forget, keeping track for us tonight, Dingo Brewer, Jay Scheidel, Reese Whisper, and Shadowed Flames, they are helping us keep track of all 4 of these players and exactly what's happening here, so big shout out to them.
Now that we know where the Masamune is, I'm fully expecting the rest of Trash Island to eventually make their way over there, because that Masamune is going to be huge for them, for the entirety of the game at this point, honestly, but even for those rocking the Black Belt as their primary, that is still a useful sword to have up until 24, 28, depending upon how your scaling is looking out.
Yep, so I just noticed something. We had Center for Competitive Forfeiting was checking trap tiles in the Hall of Giants, and it reminded me to check our random trap tiles. So it looks like we do have randomized trap tiles that are not vanilla, and so you're going to start seeing our runners checking pretty much every trap tile in the game, hoping for that 3-eye tile. We already have the fighter tile down in Marsh Bottom. If they can find the 3-eye tile, that's going to give them the greatest amount of experience most efficiently. And honestly, one of the big things between 1st and 2nd place was 1st place found a 3-eye grind, 2nd place didn't. So we'll see if that becomes a factor in this race too.
We do have Demon Frog diving into the mermaids right now. Going to be able to check all of those chests. Haven't seen much of anything yet that's totally worthwhile, but on the incentive chest, nothing. Just money. Unincentivized mermaids today.
Yeah, and to bring that back around, you know, we do have Tri-State for every single one of our incentive locations. So, you know, Ice, Titans, Volcano, all of those different locations are going to be tri-stated, so they may or may not have a key item. Now, it does seem like they're all settling into their explorations at the moment. We have Wappy down in Ice Cave. It looks like Froggy Dog just found the Masamune in the Cardia Isles. And you know, they're doing a good job, I think, each team of spreading out to various locations and increasing that communication. Um, and we'll see where all of them go from here. But at the moment, it's just chaotic searching until they find all the key items they need to settle down into their grinds.
So Lufane turn-in at Gaia is absolutely required. That slab we got early becomes the loot. Or, if you're playing with the multi-instrumentalist Sarah flag that we have, the gong.
We have to take a second and just appreciate and enjoy that flag.
Love that flag so much.
I love it. I love it so much.
Yes. Flag is great. And I hadn't seen gong before. That's a good one.
I mean, I swear, I've been using it every single run for the last, like, 2 months or so, how long we've had it, and I still find new instruments.
Yep.
It's unbelievable.
The list is pretty dang long, honestly.
Oh, yeah. And so we do have, getting back to the action, we do have Wappy down here in Ice Cave. I think this is the most unique location that I've seen so far. We do have Danny3883 is on the fighter tile, I think. So she might be sitting down for her grind.
She's taking at least a short one, certainly. Gonna try and get herself some levels here while she's, like, working through this. Which is not a bad call, once again.
Yeah, and we do have Lord Fizzlebeef checking Vanilla on rack and finding Provoca. And he went directly into the pirates, but these could be unsafe pirates. It doesn't look like that flag is on at the moment, so we're going to see what those pirates have for us in terms of whether it's an... Oh, actually, you know what? They will have a key item, so we'll see what that ends up being.
The Adamant, which, well, since entrances of the dungeons are not shuffled, we know exactly where to turn that in.
Ooh, and we do have the tail in the Earth incentive location. In terms of promoting, you're probably not going to see either of these teams promote until maybe the late game. I think Fast was in on-rack 2, so that is Black Mage learnable. So we'll see if that's even going to be a necessary step for our runners. Ooh, and we do have level 2 nuke. So Lord Fizzlebeef, the one to find level 2 nuke, and I wouldn't be surprised if you see every single person from Trash Island Fire Department reset out and head immediately on.
Congregate over there. So it looks like in Ice Cave, the Ice Cave drop tile is sandwiches. They didn't seem all that difficult to kill. They certainly went down to a zap easy enough. They are generally considered one of the better grinds because they have the experience. They have a decent amount of experience for not a lot of danger normally, especially in the randomizer where they don't traditionally have crack. So that will be a good one to find along with these fighters in case they never manage to get the third eye grind going.
Well, and we did just have Demon Frog for Trash Island Fire Department turn in the bottle that they got from the Adamant turn-in, and they just got their canoe. So that opens up the rest of the world for them, and it looks like Caleb from the Center for Competitive Forfeiting is about to do the same. So we're going to be at the moment where we have essentially everything in the game except for Mirage Tower is going to be open for our runners.
These fighters are not taking a lot of damage from the Moss Moon, and they are not going down easy. Danny has, I think, twice now lost her grind, so would not be surprised if she goes and gets level 2 nuke instead before she tries to come back and do it again.
Yeah, I mean, like, the tough thing is, well, this is also good information. She's finding out, like, how long do we have to go before other people come in and take this grind as well. Once she gets that nuke, she has that Black Mage and the Red Mage who can both use that nuke, and I believe we have level 3 Warp. So that's going to be a quick grind for her, and we'll see how much that team can utilize it. All right, and ooh, it looks like we do have our first track to Bahamut. Chadbert is promoting already, which is a little interesting because typically you don't see promotions when it comes to black belts because black belts have their promoted class has significantly less MDEF growth than the original black belt, and we'll see if that ends up coming into Chadbert's favor or if that's going to end up being a mistake.
It's something he can work around if he decides to If he gets a ribbon and some really good gear, because the armor is blurst, he could end up with like a gold bracelet +4, plus a ribbon, plus a pro ring with a positive on it. And then the fact that you're putting gear on the black belt isn't really going to affect him poorly at all, because whatever natural armor he has that's overwritten by that gear he's wearing is taken care of, and the ribbon is just fine at that point because a ribbon's a ribbon.
Yeah, that's a good point. We did actually just find an opal +3 in the waterfall from Lord Fizzlebeef's side. So that, I mean, that opal +3 would, like you said, you know, if you know,
takes care of that.
Gold bracelets went up. I mean, problem solved.
+3 on the chest armor. It's a bracelet, but it's technically chest armor. That's going to give it a +6 to evade, a +6 to absorb. I'm trying to remember what the natural opal is. I think it's, what, 32? So that would be 38. So that plus a positive on a pro ring is going to get you already to the point basically where the black belt would be naturally anyway. That is just fine in my books.
Yeah, I think... And we'll see if this ends up being a big play for that. I think particularly it's the red mage he's looking at, whether or not the red mage is going to be a bigger factor.
Yeah.
But with level 2 nuke, I mean, I haven't seen life. It looks like life was at level 4 slot 2. So that, I mean, that's even red wizard lock.
Life 2 is, yeah, level 4 slot 2. So that's available to everyone, because level 2 is available to anyone who can learn magic.
Oh, yep, I see it right there.
Yep.
Yeah, so again, it's making me wonder what they're looking for in terms of that, that red magic.
Well, what's interesting to me is that right now he's rocking red, black, and nothing else.
That's definitely a weird
Hub mode
call.
is on, though, so he's keeping an eye out. What he is going to do is he's going to rock two warriors for a little while, let them use their Mazamoon and their spells to get up to 42, and then he's going to change out one of his wizards for a black belt at that point. This way he can have warp and exit on the casters that can use it to get out of dungeons fast, and then earn up his levels in such a way that when he changes to the black belt, he's getting all the bonuses of having magic without any of the penalties.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, that's I haven't played with Tavern Moan quite enough to be proficient enough with it, and like that's, especially for this, that's one of those flags that you can make it a, like I said earlier, a huge asset, or it could be something that ends up making huge mistakes.
It's one of those big brain plays that if you've played with Tavern Mode enough, you get used to it. When it first came out, a lot of the players dedicated themselves to it, and that helped us learn a lot about how to use it and the best strategies to use for something like that. Also, I want to point out that the Earth Elemental tile in Earth Cave, and that will be all the spots where the Earth Elemental tile shows up, is Mage Fighter. So that is a huge amount of experience that they can get dumped onto their characters right here.
Yeah, and I actually completely missed this, but our trackers picked this up, that the Titan's Trove incentive was the defense sword. So if it was defense sword, that would also mean that we have vanilla.
Yep.
What's it called?
Item magic.
Item magic. Thank you.
Yep.
Which is definitely going to play into this, because you're going to start looking for bonk, or you're going to start. I mean, defense is really the big one that I would be looking for.
It informs you that 3 items that you actually care about are in the pool. The white shirt with its Invis 2 casts, the defense sword with its ruse casts, and the power bonk with its saber cast. Those 3 right there are vital. The other items that are in the pool, black shirt, Thor hammer, all of that, less essential now that we have nukes at level 2. So we're only really caring about certain items now, as opposed to if item magic was truly randomized and anything could be on there, and then we'd be like, well, what else can we find? Doot. Of course, the next thing to keep an eye out for is if we find more than one defense sword, because that would tell us that the treasures are truly randomized.
Yeah, I forgot about random. Actually, I think. Let me check. I don't think that we have random treasures as a tri-state. We do have better trap treasure as a tri-state. but it should all be the vanilla treasure shuffled around.
Another great tile right here in this often overlooked room in Ordeals. We don't traditionally check this because the chest here is linked with a chest up above, so you can just get the treasure up above. But with randomized tiles, this tile here with the R hydrants is lovely. I like the R hydrants. They're generally not very strong, generally don't have any magic that you have to worry about, and they provide a decent amount of experience for how easy they are to kill. Very efficient grind.
I would agree with you if I had that black shirt. Like to me, like they're great for like a 1 to 2 person grind. If I had that black shirt that can cast Ice 2, it's probably going to take down the hydrants pretty quickly. If you're looking for a solo grind, black shirt makes that possible. Not having a black shirt makes it not the most effective one in the world. So we'll see if people end up landing on that trap tile or try to risk the fighters or something else a little bit later.
Oof, lobsters. That's a gross tile.
Yeah, and for 8 gold too, sitting in that ooh, and sorry, Wappy just picked up the TNT and the Agama trap treasure. So
there is so much going on.
Yeah, well, this is one of those where my ability to be completely distracted at any moment by anything I see is actually kind of helpful.
So, question in chat about the sprites people are using. Generally, they're using the default FF1 sprites. However, Caleb, in the upper right area, just off from the corner, he's got eggs paired up with his moonwalking sprites when you see them on the overworld. And Chadbert is, in fact, using a mix of Final Fantasy II, Final Fantasy III, and female versions of those characters that were drawn by... oh, I forget. Terralyn, I think? And that is the Valkyries of Light sprite pack that they're using.
We did actually just see Demon Frog pick up the X-Cal, which does put in the, with their fighter, if they want to promote, they could drop that X-Cal on the fighter and potentially use, I haven't seen, I'm going to check my tracking to see if we've seen Ruse yet. It looks like level 8 in Gaia. I don't know if we're gonna. I don't think we're gonna see Ruse today.
Yeah, probably not. Well, we have the defense sword. Why wouldn't we? The thing is, depending upon how they're deciding to build their party and what they're gonna do, and we won't really know that until after they're done doing their grinds, because Tavern mode changes the math on everything. But if they decide to upgrade, then that fighter could use that X-Cal, and that's not terrible. But an X-Cal without Blurst bonuses isn't anywhere near as good long-term as a Maul.
Yeah, I agree. And quick shout out to Danny3883 for the Hooray Dwarf, giving him the due diligence and being rewarded with a key by Narek for saying hi to the Hooray Dwarf.
Perfect time for the key to show up because you're right here. You can just check the treasury. And also, I want to quote, "Hooray!"
Unfortunately, not being rewarded with anything of real value in that dwarf locked, but you already see, and this is the benefit of good co-op strategy, Wappy is already on his way to Canaria locked. So Danny picked up the key, Wappy immediately goes to Canaria locked for those 6 chests, knowing that because of our co-op, he's going to get the key before Danny could even get close to Canaria Castle.
He'll get the herb. Yep. So that's another turn they can do, and that's, I think, with the experience set to what? 5% per key item? Every key item they get, huh?
Yeah, 5% per key item.
Every key item they get is going to help them out on their grind as well. Plus a Zeus Gauntlet +2. That, depending upon the tiles they've seen and what they're thinking of, that Zeus Gauntlet could come in handy.
Yeah, wow, and it looks like we have a rush to Bahamut from our teams. So it looks like there's a lot of promotion going on. Maybe preferring those magic and fighter strats over black belt strats this season.
I know Center for Competitive Forfeiting has done a lot of practice with the black belts. I think most of the players on the TIFD side, though, they do prefer their fighter strats, and it's a matter of preference more than anything else. Black belts are great, but black belts have to ground higher than a fighter does. Fighters, however, need to have the gear to back them up. Right now, we already have, if they kept it, an opal armor +3, or +4, and a Mazumu. That right there tells me, hey, you know what? Fighters aren't bad at all.
Yeah, fighters are definitely viable. And it looks like we have Demon Frog heading in. I believe we've already seen a carry get taken down. But yes, all of our runners do have to kill all 4 fiends, but the 4 orbs are actually connected to all of their inventories in the same way that the key items are. So all of our teams have to kill the 4 orbs, but not every player has to defeat all 4 fiends. However, all 4 individual players must terminate chaos. So, they cannot gun until all 4 of their runners have successfully defeated chaos.
Another thing to note is because we have the tavern mode on, the fact that we saw spells like Cure 4 at level 1 in a White Mage locked area, Life 2 available at level 2, the position of them doesn't matter quite as much, so long as they can find the shop that has the particular warrior they're looking for. Since they can always just upgrade and optimize their party before they go into Tofu.
Yeah, and it looks like, again, our tracker's doing a great job keeping track for us. The only class that we haven't seen in a pub is the Black Mage, but we already have a Black Mage, so that is giving our runners a lot of versatility for what they can do with their parties.
Yeah, I think long term we're not gonna see them swap out that Black Mage. We're just going to see the various party members otherwise outside of that get swapped around as need be. Would not be surprised to see the parties honestly settle on a Black Belt Rainbow or Fighter Rainbow for the last chunk of the game.
Yeah, I can see that. Have we seen a Northwest check? The Northwest trap tiles?
Yes, we had a Sentry on one and Giants on the other.
I mean, Sentry could be okay depending on how the stats roll, but it's really kind of an up in the air one for that. We do have Fizzle on Sharknado floor, which has 4 different trap tiles on it, and we'll see if we find that long sought after 3-eye grind.
So, we do have chat reminding us that some of our players have done an upgrade. Black Belt is less good when you do a class upgrade because of the fact that the Black Belt has a higher MDef per level than the Monk, and if you, depending upon how you do your swap outs, your Master, who is the upgraded version, they are going to start with their true stats based on their MDef if you do a swap out from something to a Black Belt, so their MDef is going to kind of suck. You will need the armor and the ribbon to go along with that to have the protection for them. Those that have actually class upgraded are either going to keep their Black Belt as is, or they're going to go to a fighter long term.
So I do want to shout out something that I just saw on Trash Island's side. Lord Fizzleby found a ribbon +2 in the C-free chests on the Kraken side, those 2 chests in the hallway. And I was wondering why Danny and Wappy were kind of doing circles in their airships, and it looks like Fizzle said, I found a ribbon. If you need a ribbon, come get it. Danny runs, grabs ribbon, warps out, and now she's heading to that fighter tile, probably for that last grind that she's trying to do.
Yeah, I'm going to try and do that again now. With people coming in and just starting to see this game in action, I want to remind everyone that we are doing the 3rd place match for the Final Fantasy Randomizers All Hallows League tournament. League, whatever you want to call it. This is the Trash Island Fire Department versus the Center for Competitive Forfeiting 4v4 co-op with shared key items and shared knowledge. It is an absolute delightful mess to watch.
Yeah, and I did just notice that we had, in Ice Cave, we had the chime, which is kind of new to me because I thought that we had already done the chime, already done through Ice Floor, but that was the first time I've seen Chime. And our trackers can correct me if I'm not seeing that correctly. But that could be a nice little pickup for the Center for Competitive Forfeiting.
I know that everyone checked the top floor of Ice. I didn't see anyone actually go deep into that dungeon because they were all low level at the top.
Yeah, and it looks like it was on the that first free chest on I don't know how to describe that floor. Ice Cave is one of the most confusing places.
The eye tile floor? Or are you talking about the drop down
eye tile floor?
Yeah.
But like before you drop down to
the pre drop down area. Question in chat, who's ahead? Who knows?
Yeah. Yes.
I think that the Trash Island Fire Department has one orb lit, and they're trying to get their second one done. But the Center for Competitive Forfeiting may in fact be in go mode at this point. Because it does look like the only things they need now are the canal and the canoe. If they don't have the canoe, which I'm going to double check that on our trackers to verify, then they wouldn't be in go mode because they couldn't access the last fiend, they couldn't access Kraken. But if they have the canoe, then they are in go mode, and long term that will likely put them in the lead.
I mean, hypothetically, they could get there with the ship without the canoe, but that's going to be a big time waste. We can try to find out. Like, again, our trackers are doing an amazing job keeping us up to date.
Tracker Reese is reminding us that Onrak is actually at the Melbourne area, so then, yeah, they don't need the canoe. They are in go mode.
Ooh, Matoya had a ribbon as well, so that's 2 ribbons for Trash Island Fire Department.
That's really lovely. They just need to get that chime, and well, actually, they have the chime. They have the chime? Yeah, they have the chime. Tracker says they have the chime. No,
cool.
Tracker says they don't have the chime. Sorry, I'm getting the 2 teams flipped because they're on one side on one and they're on the other column on the other, so it's messing with my head. Yeah, they don't have the chime, and the likelihood of them going to Ice is low right now, because from what I saw in the notes, Wappy wiped an Ice after getting the eye tile item. So there's a good chance they are not going back to Ice anytime soon, and the longer they don't go to Ice, the longer it is going to take for them to get their build.
And Reese reminding us, one of our great trackers, that we actually do know where all 3 ribbons are now. So we have one in Volcano Armory, we have one in Matoya, and one in the Sea Free chest. And Danny's being resolute in her grind. It looks like Lord Fizzlebeef is about to join her in the grind. And it looks like Center for Competitive Forfeiting is trying to just do their best with exploration at the moment. Or maybe they're taking the Fighter Mage tile instead of that Fighter tile. Oh, and we actually do have Demon Frog diving back into Ice Cave. So we have... What? Which he might be. Again, this is where that communication becomes very, very important. Like, oddly enough, Lord Fizzlebeef going down and picking up the crystal, which they already had and turned in for a ribbon. So I don't know if that was a necessary pickup, but he's heading back up towards that fighter tile, it looks like.
Yeah, and I meant to apologize. I was apparently muted on stream for that. If Demon is here to get the chime, that is a huge deal. If Demon is just here for a sandwich platter and then exits out, that is a bit of a misstep. They don't realize what's waiting here for them, potentially. But while they're here, they should have the notes written down. Hey, we didn't finish this. Let's finish this. Now, sandwiches are great, but we know they need to get the chime here.
Well, Wappy's there too, and it looks like Wappy's just checking that incentive chest, and he reset out. He reset out for that fighter tile. So, like, I'm starting to wonder, it looks like Demon Frog is here for the grind and not for the chests. I hope that Trash Island is is communicating that they haven't finished ice yet.
Yeah, I'm worried about that.
Now, so right now everybody's grinding. So we get to talk about grinds a little bit. We have Trash Island Fire Department is focusing on the fighter tile and that marsh trap.
Except for sandwiches.
Except for sandwiches on Demon Frog's side. Center for Competitive Forfeiting is sitting with the fighter mage tile in Earth 1. What are your thoughts on tile choice, and which one do you think is the better option?
Well, generally speaking, the mages are easier to kill because they're a lower level version of the fighter. I can see why Caleb is going with the single to double fighter tile here, because the easier to take down, consistency, better to do. The fighter mage, meanwhile, while having more enemies that can attack you, is probably going to provide more consistent EXP long term, as long as, those mages don't take too long to kill. And unfortunately, it looks like the mages do have a lot of experience. I think if I'm going to have to burn a bunch of nukes anyway, I'd rather just go do a multi-fighter pack than doing the fighter mage. That said, seeing it in action, I feel like the sandwiches are the easiest grind we have.
So for me, it's how soon before I can start meleeing these fighters? Because right now, if Trash Island needs to get more spells, they have to go all the way back out of Marsh and have like a minute dive to get back to that fighter tile, whereas Center for Competitive Forfeiting has a much shorter walk. So,
which is important to take into account, that the fact that this is just here in the Earth Cave does make this a little more optimal in that respect. That's the same problem you list off there with the sandwiches. The sandwiches is a great tile. Demon Frog is going to have a great time here, but he is unlikely to actually go exploring the rest of this to get the chime that we know is here, because he's going to be out of resources by the time he's done with his grind.
Yeah, I mean, the grind choice made a big difference in the first and second place match, and it might make a big difference here. And I like that we're seeing two different types of grinds depending on the party comp from our runners. And really, right now, it's the question of, does Trash Island go to the second floor or the last floor of Ice Cave to pick up that chime? If they don't, Center for Competitive Forfeiting has a commanding lead.
Huge advantage, yeah. It's, what does Demon Frog do here once he's here? Did Wappy communicate, I didn't finish this dungeon? Does Demon Frog remember? If they do remember, do they decide, hey, let's check it while we're here because we're still missing a key item? Like, there's a domino effect of information that has to be taken into account, and if it doesn't get taken into account, Trash Island is going to have a massive issue.
Yeah, and it looks like we do have, I'm looking at these sandwiches, and the sandwiches are going down really fast. Caleb has gone down to a single black belt with a Massa, problem being it takes about 3 turns to put down that fighter. It looks like, like you said, it looks like Demon Frog has found the most appropriate grind, or at least most efficient grind.
Yeah.
And I could see Demon taking this to the, he's already at mid-20s, I could see him taking this to mid to upper 20s, and then heading off to that fighter tile because it's a higher experience rate, except he doesn't have a black belt. He has to wait for that Massa wielder to be able to take out a fighter in one hit.
Depends on if Wappy cares. Wappy may not care. Wappy may just decide because he's class changed, he's rocking the fighter cup. Oh, the sandwiches are starting to run.
Yeah, and that's always the concern. And I wouldn't be surprised. I hope that Demon puts that down Black Mage up in slot 1, because that down Black Mage should make it less likely for those sandwiches to run. And there it goes.
Yeah,
hey, look at that.
Depending upon your level, the higher level you are, the more likely enemies are to run you because they get a morale break from your levels. So the sandwiches you saw were starting to run. That is taken into account even if the party member up front is dead. So whoever you have up front needs to be the lowest level you can get, which in this case is his Black Mage. So he's rocking. He's able to kill these sandwiches in 1 swipe per. He is getting great experience now.
Yeah, he just transitioned to solo fighter. This is the grind. This is it. Demon 100%. Is going to be the first person to get to that upper level that they're looking for.
Yeah, this is absolutely the grind that he wants. Even a single sandworm is worth 5k to a fighter. This is great experience, and they're barely touching him because of whatever armor he has on.
Yeah, this is super safe. Like, the only thing that you have to worry about is getting out of Ice Cave. At this point, all of the runners should have gone through Ice Cave enough that they know if there's, like, any weird, like, large spells, such as, like, Nuke or Inferno.
Demon might not know.
I mean, yeah, I think he might not. I don't know if we've...
Again, they didn't do a full exploration of this dungeon. Demon might not
That's
know
true.
what all is down here.
That's true. That's true. So Demon's already at level 30. It looks like Danny is trying to take out Carrie. Since she's probably been at the grind the longest, they probably said, who's got the highest levels? Alright, you go take down Carrie.
I like her position at this point. I think she's in a good place to be able to do this.
Yeah, I agree.
Defense sword, temper, lock to slow down Carrie, and then Carrie bashes down Zoe. Woo! Carrie packing some heat. Get a nuke out for almost 200. Carrie swipes back for another 150. Nuke comes out, another defense sword. About 500 or so damage done to that Carrie so far. Gonna continue defensing, although Carrie's only able to hit for 11 damage against that fighter. Another nuke for 150, another nuke for almost 150, so we're getting close to like 800 damage there. Now the fighter's starting to swing. Nuke, 400 damage almost. Red Mage goes down another 300 damage punch. 4 hits for 233, Carrie dies. And second, we like that orb right there. We will have 2 orbs on the block for the Trash Island Fire Department.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised to see Danny's at level 18. I was kind of expecting her to be at higher level with the grinds that she's been looking for.
You don't really need it, though, with the fighter comp. I mean, yeah, once we get into Topher, but fighter comps do tend to be able to get through things at like about 10 levels lower than a black belt comp.
Ooh, it looks like she's been talking to Demon Frog. She was definitely looking for that potential sandwich play. Looks like she's gonna go get some items first.
And if it seems like we're not talking about the Center for Competitive Fortifying as much, this is true. They're all grinding on fighters and mages. They're all in go mode right now. They just have to kill some fiends and be done with it. So there's really not much to say about their team just yet.
So I think the big thing we're looking at now, and some people look at this and they're like, okay, we're just grinding. This is boring. No, this is some of the most important decision making that you're going to see in a run, especially when it comes to co-op. Because right now, who is going to come in ahead at this point is going to depend on how effectively and efficiently they do these grinds. Trash Island Fire Department is now at the place where they can actually solo black belt these fighters, whereas Center for Competitive Forfeiting is still having 2 or 3 people up, because with Fighter Mage, there are more enemies, and therefore you have to have some AoE spells to take those enemies down. So that's going to start pushing in Trash Island's favor, and so you might have seen Center for Competitive Forfeiting get initial levels faster. You might see Trash Island starting to get later levels faster. And then you have Demon Frog, who is he's at 42. He's absolutely the level lead. Absolutely. Yeah, I think... Yeah, it's also going to depend on what Topher looks like, because we do have 40 to 80% on bosses, and we don't know if they're clamped yet. We do have gold +3s for sale in Crescent Lake, so that's definitely, and pro capes. So that definitely pushes me in the direction of, hey, even if I decide to throw up like a black belt in with low MDef, I've got plenty of extra armor to throw on them. My mages are probably going to be fine. This is really set up for either type of party, and it might actually just depend on which party the individual runner feels most comfortable with. There it is. There it is. There it is. Yeah, that moment right there would have been the turning point. Whether or not he opened that chest or if he just walked out was going to be the turning point of the match. And now it looks like Demon Frog is in the lead. Not Trash Islanders forever for competitive forfeiting, just Demon Frog. Yeah.
Sorry, I keep muting myself. I don't know why. I'm sorry. Demon Frog is in a great position right there. He has gotten himself the levels. He managed to river rat to the chime out of that green chest. He put himself in a place where he can go do fiends, he can go do the Topher dive, he can do everything that he needs to do for this team while the rest of them get their grind ready to go. Question in chat, what are you watching? You are watching 4v4 co-op with shared key items and ridiculous flags for the Final Fantasy Randomizer 3rd place match of the All Hallows League.
And we are at the point in the match where we are picking our grinds. We're trying to figure out what the fastest way to get to level 40, 42 is going to be. And from the first and second place match, usually when you have one person that has the upper level grind, you have the person who has the most levels on your team. They've dedicated themselves to the grind for the longest period of time. It is now that person's job to get all 4 orbs. So this would be my play. Demon Frog goes out and he takes out Kraken, he takes out Tia, while everybody else continues their grind until they get up to that 40-42 level.
So the question in chat about how this is going to work for when we finish up the game, it is when the last party member of your team defeats Chaos. So, 3 of you could finish off way early, but if that last party member is struggling to finish off Chaos and end the game, then your time is their time. That is it. Last person across the finish line finishes it for your team.
And that's like one of the benefits of that is you do have to plan in for every runner to have good levels, grinds, key items.
Yep.
Like, if it was just the first person to done wins, then you'd probably have one person grind for the entire match, send them into Topher early.
That was when we did co-op 2 years ago for the first of our summer co-op tournaments. That was basically what the strategy was: is have both teams go off for the first half an hour and do exploration to get the information, and then one person, as soon as they have found a good tile, sits down, grinds, and the other person goes off and finishes off everything. Now we actually have to strategize all 4 party members.
Yeah, and it looks like Danny's taking word from Demon Frog that sandwich tile is the way to go. So she's going to sit down and ice. Demon Frog has decided to do the orb pickup, so he's down trying to get Kraken. And it looks like Caleb on the Center for Competitive Forfeiting side is doing the same.
One thing I like, it looks like Lord Fizzleby found a Vorpal. So instead of doing a single team member, he is doing a double fighter grind here on these fighters, swinging the Masamune and the Vorpal.
Yeah, the Vorpal was the turn-in for the Elf Prince, so the herb turned into the Vorpal. Again, shout out to our trackers, Dingo Brewer, Jay Scheidel, Reese Wolf, and Shadowed Flames. There is a crazy spreadsheet that they're taking care of that makes it very easy for us to follow. Ooh, I didn't even notice. We had a white shirt in the Volcano Aga floor, middle chest. A white shirt +4.
It's a valuable item to have. That's something that the players are going to be very happy that they found, because now you can throw a white shirt and a defense sword cast out twice in battle, and then whoever was getting the defense casts on them is already at max evade from that. 1 point of evade per white shirt cast, 2 points of evade per defense sword cast. You only need 6 of those to actually get yourself all the way up to full on evade, so those are great items to have, and they're unlimited casts, so you never have to worry about conserving those magic points.
Yeah, and so I want to try to do a quick level check. We've been on these grinds for a while. Let's see where everybody's at, because Demon was at low 40s or mid 40s, and let's try to figure out. I know our trackers are already probably running down trying to figure out what those numbers are for us, but I want to see how close everybody's at.
Looks like Lord Fizzlebeef is going to take out one of his 2 fighters to dump the rest of his experience on both of them, or on all of them, on one of him. So that's going to help him get the last of his warriors up to 42. Looks like 34 on that one. So 34, 15, I think another 15 and 34. So his mages are very low level.
Yeah, our tracker's already doing a great job dropping in levels. We've got Groggy at 36, Chad at 41 and 26, Caleb's black belts at 42. So it looks like we're starting to get to that place where they're going to start considering those Topher dives and that Mirage dive.
Yeah. Well, and I think Warmech is required, is he not?
Yes, I believe he is.
So that right there tells you all you need to know about why they're going up to 42, even if they're going to be rocking a fighter comp. Warmech. A required Warmech at the scaling we have can be scary.
Oof. And Demon Frog has a solo fighter against that Kraken. Kraken is pretty punchy. The fighter has max evade. But Kraken also has a lot of evade to him. So this is just going to be a hold A and pray kind of situation. Oh, and there goes Kraken.
43 now on his fighter.
and it looks like, hey, Caleb is picking up the same Kraken. He's throwing out his black belt strats. We've got fades coming out. We've got more fades. Didn't see what that spell was. And he's probably going to have an easy time with this as long as that black belt stays up. Oh, and a Brack takes him out. So there you go, broken into pieces. Caleb lights that third orb for their team, and now it's really the race to take out Tia. And Wappy on the side of Trash Island Fire Department is already heading up into Sky. He's on Sky 2. And it looks like Trash Island might be the first one to light their fourth orb.
So we had a question in chat about what the clamps are. We're not entirely certain. It's Tri-State, could be 40% to 280% or 100% to 280%. Some of the enemies have been taking a lot to kill. Some of them have not been taking as much as you might expect. So it's hard to say right now. That Kraken certainly seemed like he rolled up to 280. I don't think we've seen a boss yet that feels like they've been at the 40% mark. So bosses may in fact be clamped 100 to 280%.
Yeah, I agree with you. It seems like we're rolling up over 100% on all these bosses. I think this Warmech is going to give us a good picture. Warmech has a... Oh, no, there isn't a required Warmech. Oh, let me look it up. Nope, Warmech is vanilla. Yeah, I hear you with that. And so it looks like Trash Island Fire Department is in full go mode at the moment. They can head down into the Temple of Fiends Revisited at any moment. And now it's a matter of who takes that first dive and what are they going to encounter in Topher. If Demon Frog, which I could imagine being the first one to go into Topher, picking up some extra spells for that night, he could be communicating to his team, hey, all you need to do is get to level 32, all you need to do is this, and we'll see where we're going to go. We do have promotion on Trash Island's side, and Groggy and Rubes are still on these fighter mages. I feel like this has just been a long, laborious grind for these two.
Yeah, I gotta be with you on this. I know Lord Fizzlebeef managed to make it work, but I feel like the sandwiches were such a better play this time around. It's like when we saw in the first place match, one team found the third eye grind, the other team did not. This time around, we have one team found sandwiches, the other team did not. And you can tell that just like the difference in how they were able to grind up was key for them.
Now, I will say though, it might not matter. it might not matter whatsoever, because Groggy and Rubes did get up to that low 40s, level 42. Yes, they were in there for a significantly larger amount of time, but if Caleb is able to light this orb and Groggy and Rubes are already at their level 42, and we have, Danny still doing her grind, Wappy, it looks like, is going to pick up his ribbon. If Groggy and Rubes are ready to go after this, I mean, it might be moot, the fact that it took a lot longer, just by the nature of Caleb being the first one to go out and finish up all the orbs.
And there's just a simple fact of the matter that Topher can always Topher.
Yes, Topher can always Topher.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, what do we have? I've seen, last night with our hardcore Iron Gall, we had first turn nuke or nuclear on, I want to say, every single fiend in Topher.
Everything, yep.
So, yeah. Topher can be nice to you, or it could... and we have a late Garland from Demon Frog.
And there is a reason why we call it the Great Equalizer. Topher, like a lot of end dungeons in various video games, is designed in such a way to absolutely destroy you. So, and that's, the vanilla game. Now we're talking about a game that's been randomized with its difficulty turned up, because why would we play things easily here? And you can see just how difficult things can get in a particularly nasty Topher with, and I think this is more often common than not, a Kraken that rolls up on its damage with at least the 8 hits it starts with by default, absolutely maxed out evade, and, nuke and nuclear that it likes to cast. You can have a Kraken that's such a gatekeeper. We're here for an hour. So we'll just see what happens.
Yeah, and to answer in chat, I believe it's Lance Reiger who was talking about Warmech. The reason that we know that Warmech is not required in these flags is, we do have a flag in our randomizer that either puts Warmech at vanilla, patrolling, or required, or unleashed, which is just crazy. If it was required, you would actually see a green NPC at the very end of the Bridge of Destiny. And when you talk to that green NPC, it would trigger the Warmech fight. So since we didn't see that green NPC, that told us, hey, Warmech is not required for this flag set, and checking the flags again, it was on vanilla mode. So Warmech is in his normal Warmech place.
Now, I will say, as far as having Warmech show up more often in the future, we did just have, during our Halloween Iron Claw match, the Lich's Revenge flag that put out, War Liches, Warmechs, but dressed up as Lich, in costume, because it's festive. All around the game. I would not be surprised if a version of that ends up in next year's All Hallows League, for the Fall League, just because that was such a great themed one, and having, a 4v4 co-op with Lich's Revenge as the flag that's turned on could be absolutely crazy.
And one of the things that we didn't quite talk about was the Warmech Unleashed, which is what Lich's Revenge had, which puts Warmech able to be in an encounter in literally any place in the game.
Yeah, it's every zone. He becomes the Encounter 7, quote-unquote. Basically, every encounter table has a set of encounters 1 through 8 that are shuffled and randomized in the game. And Warmech and Warmech Unleashed flag makes him the Encounter 7 in every single table.
So I do want to shout out, we do have Demon Frog is already on carry 2, throwing out some nuke. Doing a decent amount of damage. We've got a couple hits. Oh, Carrie has the Cure 4 in first slot. That is a great thing to know, because there's only one Cure 4 amongst all of the Temple of Fiends bosses. It looks like we have some more nukes and some more hits coming out. And yeah, I'm not seeing too much that's dangerous coming from this Carrie at the moment. And there she goes. Carrie 2 is already down, and Demon Frog is heading into the third Fiends floor on the Temple of Fiends Revisited. As far as our other runners go, we do have Wappy is taking their first dive into the Temple of Fiends Revisited. So we have 2 in Topher for the side of Trash Island Fire Department, none on the side of Center for Competitive Forfeiting. It looks like they're going off to pick up their extra spells, picking up their extra ribbons, and doing some prep. I will say that it looks like, it looks like they're in a decent place to just dive right into Topher after they finish up doing this extra purchases in terms of items, spells, picking up their ribbons, and here we have Kraken 2. So we're starting off with some lock, some fast, some defense. Lock going off, it has a 100% hit rate and actually works in this particular version of the game. So that is just making sure that there's no evade. We have a Fire 3 coming out, doing moderate amounts of damage. That defense is going to protect from any sort of physical damage. Ooh, and there's the Nuclear. Nuclear is taking out 2 of Demon Frog's Light Warriors, but he's probably not that concerned by it because his fighter has life 2. The Ink is not really going to do much. We have 5 hits coming out. And it looks like he's just going to... Lit 2 coming out from Kraken. It looks like he's just going to hold A and pray for this one. And, Inferno. But those ribbons are going to prevent that Inferno from doing a lot of damage because of the fire resistance.
So yeah, you can see Demon Frog, even though he's using a fighter comp instead of the black belt comp that, is fantastic for this kind of dungeon, he is just rocking through this Topher right now.
Yeah, absolutely. There's not much in the way of things to be afraid of. I mean, that Kraken seems to have a lot of absorb, so that NASA isn't doing a ton of damage, but just give it enough time, and there it goes.
Yeah, and because of the fact that there's life 2 on the Knight, because of slot 4 spell level 2, even losing every other mage wasn't even a concern for him. That Knight is hideously overpowered this time around.
Yeah, once you're able to get life 2 casts, or even life 1 casts on a Knight, especially if you have other light warriors that have the ability to cast life, you just throw the fighter in 4th slot, you throw Defense Sword on them, and you basically have a guaranteed ride through Topher as long as you don't get nuclear nuked. All back to back to back. Alright, so at the moment we have 3-3. We have 3 members of each team in Topher at the moment. Oh, actually, is it 4? No, because we have Rubes is in Melma, and he's picking up some last-minute things. We have Danny, 3883, doing the grind. We have Demon Frog on Tia 2. We have Caleb is sitting on Lich floor. Chadbert is on the Kraken floor. And we'll see how these grinds go effectively. We're looking specifically at Rubes and Danny at the moment to see which one of them is going to finish up all of their work first and is able to follow their teammates into Topher.
So this gets back to what we were saying before about the person furthest behind is the one you have to worry about. The rest of their teams are likely, that's not guaranteed right now, but are likely to make it through the dungeon right now with the levels that they have. But each of them having to finish out their grinds and get their stuff done means that where they are, what they're doing, when they get into Topher, how long it takes for them, that's going to define who manages to get the bronze medal in this match and who is relegated to 4th place.
And so we currently have 2 Kraken 2s, a Carry 2, and a Tia 2 all on the screen at the same time. Carry showing Caleb the Cure 4. Demon Frog got nucleared, I believe. And so that's why he's got no light warriors up except for that fighter who's probably going to do perfectly fine all by himself. There goes Tia 2. We're heading, again, we've got a Kraken 2 and a Carry 2. Demon Frog is going to be the first one to head to Chaos's floor, barring some unfortunate circumstance. Groggy is just getting hit by that Kraken 2. And actually, Kraken 2 goes down. Some light work from them. Demon Frog did pick up some Iron Gall, so it's a good thing that he put on that life 2 for that fighter. And yeah, we'll see how this goes. It's getting pretty close. And I think special note here, we do have Rubes in the Temple of Fiends Revisited right now. So Center for Competitive Forfeiting has all 4 of their team members in Topher. It's probably going to be that Demon Frog is going to be the first one to get to Chaos and potentially defeat Chaos. Groggy Dog is not far behind, though, on Tia 2. Caleb is really just trying to maintain. Oof, and Caleb gets his black belt just smashed by Kraken. We'll see if he can get some Cure 4 out or something to keep up that black belt.
Turn
or
order.
if he's going to revert to some other strats.
All about
praying
turn
for turn order.
Yeah, because he's got a nuke. Will the Cure... Oh, doesn't matter. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, and we do have Demon Frog, the first one to pull up Chaos. We're looking, probably going to see some standard strats. We've got locks, we've got defense coming out, we have a fast. I wouldn't be surprised if Demon Frog only cares about that Knight, and if he starts seeing other Light Warriors get hit, he's not going to do anything. That Tornado is going to do a bit of damage, it's not something to be completely worried about. We now have a Chaos, a Kraken 2, 2 Tia 2s, and a Lich 2 all on the screen.
About to get a second Chaos from Wappy.
Yep, and we're going to have a third Chaos from Groggy Dog here in a second. So we have 3 Chaoses on the screen. We have 2 Tia 2s, a Kraken 2. That Kraken 2 is probably not going to last very long, and there it goes. So Chadbert is going to be on his way to his Chaos in just a couple seconds. We're going to have 5 Chaoses on the screen, potentially. Demon Frog is down to that one fighter all by itself. And we're going to see if Chaos has something ugly for us, or if he's just going to sit there and let himself be punched.
This is a powerful Chaos right here, because that Knight is on his knees at 105. Oh no! And as I say that, Demon Frog is wiped and sent back to the stars.
Ugh, that's not something that you want to see, because Demon Frog especially had those higher levels, and you've still got Danny down there on that grind.
Yeah.
And you're telling her, hey, look, you just keep going. That there's some miserable stuff here. And at this point, you know, really, does the Center for Competitive Forfeiting have the levels to finish this Topher dive? Because if any one of them gets wiped on this Chaos, we're talking a very, very, very close match here. Yeah, Caleb looks like he's having a hard time with these Iron Galls. Again, we have Tia 2 up there on Chadbert's side. Groggy and Wappy both fighting their Chaoses. Chaos had some elemental magic. It looks like Groggy has 3 of his Light Warriors up, and Wappy is our first player to have Chaos terminated. That's 1 out of 8 of our players done with the Temple of Fiends. We'll see if Groggy is not far behind, and we do have Lord Fizzlebeef, who has also pulled the Chaos. Rube's not far behind with a Kraken 2. Chadbert right on his heels with that Tia 2.
Point out, one thing that Wappy had different from Demon is Wappy has 2 warriors that were in a good position to take out this Temple of Fiends, whereas Demon Frog only had the Knight that could handle it.
Yeah, and it looks like in focusing all of that extra work on that Knight, he didn't really have any backup in case something bad happened, which is really what happened with the Swirl.
Yeah.
And just getting punched through max evade.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there we go. Groggy Dog, our second runner, so 2 out of 8 are done with Temple of Fiends Revisited. We now have 1 done on each side. We're waiting for 3 runners from each team. We have Caleb and Lord Fizzlebeef both on their Chaos fight. Chadbert and Rubes both on the floor before with their Iron Gall attacks. Demon Frog is going down for a second dive, stuck at Lich 2, and we're about to see Danny 383. Actually, looks like she's going to get some magic and fill up on some items before she does her dive. So Caleb at the moment having just his red mage and a black belt fighting against Chaos. We have Lord Fizzlebeef, his black belt and a red mage as well. And it looks like Caleb did just terminate his Chaos, so Center for Competitive Forfeiting has 2 of their Chaoses down. Chadbert about to pull Chaos. Rubes is on his Tia 2. We'll see if either of them runs into the same problems that Demon Frog had. And, you know, at the moment, we're just ready and waiting. Fade's coming out. It looks like Chadbert has most of his Light Warriors up, and Lord Fizzlebeef is our 4th runner to take down Chaos. We have 2 on each side, so it's 2-2 in terms of who's finished. There's the Tornado coming out from Chaos on Chadbert's side. And again, it's really a matter of is the fact that there is more than 1 Light Warrior gonna make that can stand against this Chaos gonna make the difference in this particular match.
They're just starting to fall like dominoes here at this point.
Yeah, I mean, we have the last two members of the Center for Competitive Forfeiting stuck on their chaoses. Demon Frog already back on Kraken 2, Danny 3883, not very far behind. If either Chadboard or Rubes ends up getting wiped to this chaos, that puts the Trash Island Fire Department right there to be to take out and come back to win this. Ugh, and that nuclear coming out from Chaos ends up low rolling on Chadbird, it looks like. So Chadbird's still in it, still got 3 of his Light Warriors up. Same thing with Rubes. Rubes has 4 of his Light Warriors up. Both of them are in a very, very good position to take this cast. And the Bane coming out and taking out one of Chadbird's Light Warriors, and Viz 2's coming out from Rubes. Demon Frog still just trouncing through this. And it looks like, did Chadbird...
Chad got it.
Yes,
after his Black Mage got taken
dead.
out, 2 back-to-back punches for 1,600 damage apiece, we're able to take out that chaos. So we are down to just 1 party member on Center for Competitive Forfeiting side.
Yeah, it's all up to Rube 000 right now, whether or not Rubes can take out this chaos. You know, throwing out Defense Sword, trying to keep those up, nukes, locks, very, very standard safe strategy. And there we have it. Oh, nope, I was close. It was close.
Yeah, we're still waiting right there, but that will do it right there. Finally, that last big hit, and all it took was just getting enough temper on the black belt that when they hit, it punched through and took care of it. Well done right there.
Yeah, what a fantastic match. Really just pulling it down to the very end. Center for Competitive Forfeiting, their last runner doing the dot done at 1 hour, 16 minutes, and 30 seconds. Congratulations to the Center for Competitive Forfeiting, our 3rd place winner for the All Hallows League, our Fall League 2020. We're going to sit around. We're going to have Demon Frog and Danny finish up. We're going to watch them. We're going to cheer them on. But definitely GG's to all of the members of Trash Island, or of Center for Competitive Forfeiting. And we're going to try to get the Center for Competitive Forfeiting in here with us, just kind of talk about what's going on. So we go grab them, and we'll be watching this Tia 2 fight on the side of Demon Frog and this Carry 2 fight from Danny 383.
So solid match right there. It's a pity to see Demon Frog get wiped out by Chaos there at the last fight, and he is now in an awful position here for Tiamat as well, down to 97 health and just having to hold A and pray and hoping Tiamat doesn't decide to bring out another one of his spells or a nuclear or something else.
Yeah, and there's Crack come out from T. I'm not sure we saw Crack earlier. A couple other hits. We've got Ink, Thunder, 39 health on Demon Frog's side, 77 damage, a miss from Tia 2, and yeah, talk about hold A and pray, and Demon Frog getting another wipe. That's hard. I'm sure he's going to go right back and dive in. But actually, in the meantime, what we do have here is the 3rd place winners for the All Hallows League here in FFR, the Center for Competitive Forfeiting. Welcome. How you guys doing?
Great. Feels real good.
So, what was your strategy going into this? Did you guys have like an already predetermined list of you do this, you do this, you do this, or were you guys planning on just however things happen, figuring it out along the way?
I think we outlined some vague roles in terms of, especially early game, what we wanted to do. Caleb was our real ringleader for this one, in terms of like, okay, here's how we're going to split up the interseed checks. And then I think once, there were 3 phases for us. I think there was the early checks, there was grind, and then there was the Topher dive. And so I think this race for us looked a lot like our practice, where, like in our practice, I was the one who got up levels really quickly and then went and killed a bunch of fiends. That was Caleb. And so, I think it was just, we had a loose idea of what we wanted to do and were able to just identify who was where, who was in the best position to do what as kind of places.
Yeah, and I just made a home in the Earth Cave, so I just took care of everything there.
Yeah.
I was actually going to ask you guys about that because grind tile choice seemed to be a really big factor in this particular run. So actually, Rubes, I want to throw this over to you because I feel like we saw a lot of grinding for a long time coming from you and Groggy.
Yeah, the options were, at least that we had found, were limited. I really didn't want to walk all the way down to Marsh, which was where Caleb was doing the grind. So I took the mage fighters up in the earth tile, but not really feeling the clamps. I definitely banned my other party members too early, so I had to bring them back a couple of times until I finally was like, all right, let's get the black belt. Or when we found out that the black mage could learn fast without promoting, I was like, all right, I gotta make sure I get levels on the black mage. So I'm gonna take a while to get him up. Did like a 2-man grind up until about level 30, and then finally the black belt was ready to finish the way to 42.
Yeah, I think as we were, still getting ambushed by the mage fighter, like through the high 30s, that was when we knew we probably should have stuck to that Marsh fighter seat, but it got us there. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it seemed like that was the big kind of difference maker, was having one fighter and multiple mages versus the possibility of 2 fighters. But I kind of want to throw this over to Caleb because he did take that Marsh fighter tile. Did you have to try to figure out, do I do this Marsh fighter tile that's deep or Earth that's shallower but has more enemies? Like, what brought you to do something different than the rest of the team?
I thought we were all on the same page. It wasn't until after the fact that I realized that they were all just doing the Earth tile. Because like we were talking about, I was calling out like when breakpoints were happening, like, okay, I'm like 2-shotting the fighters, okay, I'm 1-shotting them, like I'm, because they had a pretty good evade and absorb, and so did the mages. So for me, like it was always going to be the Marsh tile, but I can understand with how deep it was. But for me, it was just nice because you could walk down there without getting a fight before the tile, and then by the time you have to walk out, if you're 42, you're gonna morale break everything. So. But yeah, and I think it ended up being, the difference in how quickly our individual grinds went for sure, because the mages were just as evasive, and I don't think 3 mages give better experience than a single fighter. I think it's kind of close. So.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like the mages rolled up in HP as well. Sorry, Chad, you were just about to say something. Go ahead.
Yeah, I took the Earth one because I'm bad at grinding the solo fighters or black belts, so I took the one that I could get out and save.
Yeah. And that's valid. I mean, like, it was definitely, like, mitigate, what's the word I'm looking for? Calculated risk, right? Because if I had hit something in an off-tile encounter with the Marsh thing, that would have been super bad, but...
Reese just asked if we didn't see the sandwiches and ice. We did. I did when I was there. It's just have the drop down, and then the walkout with all the unrunnable red bones. And they seemed kind of beefy too.
Rubes was the only one that went to ice, and the way he described it did not sound like a good time for anybody to go. So.
Yeah, well, it actually ended up being the most efficient of the grinds. So we saw a lot of the fighter mage tiles. We saw a lot of the double fighter and Marsh. Demon Frog was actually the only one to pull up the sandwich tile, and he went much faster than anybody else. I think eventually they were pretty quickly one-shot by the Massa and the Vorpal because he had, by at least the Massa. And then having the free space underneath in the doorway to make sure that there's no extra encounters. Yeah. By the time he got up to that high level grind, anything else that was troublesome down there. But again, it's a calculated risk issue. If you want to spend 10 minutes on that grind and then get wiped.
Yeah, that's a good point. So with that run off the hard reset, you probably could have got down to the drop down without a fight. Because that run was so long.
Yeah, but you couldn't get much past that if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Because that's when I started hitting that.
Yeah.
I remember when I was starting to complain about all the like, all the fights I started to get into when I was trying to clear ice. And then I found the chime.
You weren't complaining. You were sharing your concerns.
Yes.
So
Competitively sharing my concerns.
So I do want to throw this out there to you guys, just kind of as a team. Was there a break point for your team where you either felt, oh no, we're super behind, or wow, I think we're getting ahead and can actually do this? Like, how was your morale throughout the course of the run?
We were having fun. I think that towards the end we were all like nerves were up because like you get into the end game, you get into Topher, and that's when like race anxiety kicks in for me anyway, where it's just like, okay, the fun's over now, we got to focus on do this. And out the gate, the strategy was always to everybody just pile into Topher once you hit 42 on the black belt, and that's ended up happening. And like I don't think there was a point where we ever felt ahead or behind. It was just like, I don't know, because it was a lot happens with the co-op, and when everybody's calling out stuff and you're trying to organize information, it's easy to forget that you're racing a whole other team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do want to do a quick shout out to Demon Frog, just finishing off his chaos on his third dive into Topher. I'm sure he's got to be pretty happy that this match is over for him, after having been the first one into Topher and then having really the hardest time based on party comp and just what he experienced down there. We do have Danny3883 as the last member of Trash Island Fire Department that has picked up Chaos, doing kind of the standard run, throwing out some locks, throwing out some nukes, using that defense sword. Chaos does have, and there it goes. And so Danny3883 taking out our final runner to take out Chaos. Let's throw some GGs in chat for all of our runners here, both Trash Island Fire Department and Center for Competitive Forfeiting. Great run by both. Definitely want to try to get Trash Island in here as well to talk. But yeah, I mean, are you guys surprised that you were the second ones to dive into Topher? I think specifically because of that grind choice, Demon Frog ended up jumping ahead of everybody, trying to run that solo fighter. And really it came down to Caleb running in and taking out Kraken. I don't remember who did Tia.
I did. I killed Carrie, Tia, and Kraken while everybody's finishing their grinds, which is also part of our plan. Like, everybody just finish your grind, I'll go kill these guys, and then we'll all go into Topher at the same time. Be a big party.
Yeah, and I think like that's just the benefit of sticking to a 42 black belt plan with a couple fast charges, right? Is like you're gonna make up time. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm gonna head over and try to get Trash Island here with us. What was your approach to the tri-states? Did you have specific things in mind depending on what tri-states you ended up getting, or was it basically we're not gonna worry too much about it?
Well, we did have a game plan for like, but we actually kind of forgot to like make sure that they weren't vanilla fetches. But I think early on we found like something loose, or they like it ended up being
we knew when we
clear.
got Thorhammer out of Northwest Castle, that was the big tell.
True. Yeah. But yeah, it was more of just like, are we going to be dealing with clamps? If we're dealing with clamps, we're going to 42. If there's no clamps, we might be able to sneak through on 32 or high 30s. But black belt was always the plan. But with Tavern on, it wasn't necessarily grind to black belt. We could have ground any of our players. But yeah, I mean, we had a shared track. We're keeping notes on the different tavern spells, paying attention to where gear was, if like mosses ended up for sale, that kind of stuff. But
and now we do have joining us Trash Island Fire Department, Demon Frog, Lord Fizzlebeef, Danny383, and Wappy. GG's, guys. What a run.
GG, guys. That was a thing.
Uh-huh.
We come in, I just
the
hear
race.
Caleb talking about all the notes they took on things, and I was like, yeah, we did that too.
We scribbled
Sorta.
some things.
Sorta. Our little sheet thingy's not half blank, and us go halfway through thinking, wait, where was that again?
There were a couple great moments, kind of on both sides, where you just see an airship spinning around for a little bit, trying to figure out where it's supposed to go next.
I resemble that comment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Danny may have been the one to say, "Oh, gold bracelet's +3 here." Then an hour later, where are they again?
Yeah, that's the same thing for us.
It's one of the best parts
It
about
was
it.
it was one of two places. We knew that much, so we didn't have to look that many places. It wasn't that bad.
I only asked where the gold was 3 times.
Uh-huh. And then they weren't a lot of money at all.
So I do want to throw out some questions too. I mean, definitely get some crosstalk, but now that we have Trash Island, Demon Frog, how you feeling? That Topher was not kind to you.
If I had been a little less crazy with my nukes early, I think that first dive would have happened. I just didn't have enough locks to get Chaos to where he was doable. So I'm here, and I think I was close, went into it again, and by that time, Rapping Fizzles were like, dude, no, just go get a black belt. You got 2 veterans now. Okay, fine.
Yeah. So I can't remember. Did everybody have a black belt on their successful dive, or was there somebody that didn't end up using a black belt?
I finished Fighter Double Red Black.
Yeah, because we were talking a lot about whether or not like that fighter, if you had to do the black belt, or if the fighter comp was the best one, specifically the Trash Island. Like, what were your thoughts on party comp specifically?
So, out of the gate is whatever. Like, it was nice that it gave us, Fighter, Thief, Red, Black, but at the same time, it's like, I kind of want to get rid of this Thief, get another Mage, or possibly get another. I went for Double Fighter just because I had Ice Sword and Mazza at some point, and I was like, hey, maybe I want to use both of these.
Wait. You guys realized the first slot you could change, right? Because we all started with Thief Rainbow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So I was just making sure because you said you started with Fighter, Thief, Red, Black, or whatever.
Yeah, I wanted.
Yeah, or white, black.
I wanted a fighter, and then I wanted mages, and then the last spot was Force Thief, and it's just like, you know what, this is doable. Like, whatever, this is fine. But then, over the course of the seed, I knew that there was going to be some kind of grind on some kind of tile. There were a few options, both of them had problems. And then it's just, well, whatever, I'll get something to 42 and I'll get a black belt and they'll be fine.
Yeah, I did. There was one thing that came up with Trash Island specifically. Wappy, you did an early clear of ice and ended up resetting out before doing a full clear. Was filling out ice something on your mind going towards that late game, or was that something that kind of was just like, oh right, ice just happened and had to kind of scramble to figure out what had to be full cleared left?
No, we were just checking the incentive chest. Didn't know, we still needed some incentives, so everybody else was doing other things. That was the only thing on the list to do, so.
Yeah, I think at that point Wappy was still really low. I don't know that he would have. I think he may have wiped out of there instead at
I didn't
the
reset.
man-cat chest, right?
Yeah, I cleared what I could, and then man-cats, I think I had a black mage alive when I ran into man-cats who did man-cat things.
As they do. So when, because the big thing was really that chime on the last floor of Ice Cavern, and really as Demon was doing his sandwich grind, which Demon was I think Demon did that first, and then Danny kind of picked it up second. The whole time Demon was grinding, we were just hoping and praying that he knew to clean out that last floor of ice, because otherwise I don't know what you guys would have been looking for to get that chime.
We knew what chests were left. We knew there was like 9 chests that we needed to check, and those were on the list, so it wasn't a concern.
Gotcha. So you guys had a very, very clear and detailed notes to figure out exactly what still needed to be done.
So I don't normally take notes, but like I think we individually kept track of the chests we orphaned in the dungeons we cleared.
Right, there was a lot of call-outs, like, I full cleared this, I full cleared that. And then when we started, when it came down to we're missing the chime, we started piecing together what haven't we opened, and the list was basically some in the bottom of ice. There were 3 on Mermaid's side, sea, and I think that was it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure once we got to where it could be left, it was just those maybe handful of chests that still needed
Yeah.
checked.
Yeah. So, like, at this point, I'm kind of curious. Do you guys have questions for each other? Like, in terms of like Trash Island versus Center for Competitive Forfeiting. I mean, things that tripped you up, things you're curious about.
Not one forfeit the whole season. That's all I got to say. Not one forfeit.
Hey, Groggy and I came super close in Chaos Rush Week.
Yeah, that was gonna be the week.
I feel there needs to be a rebranding on that team next league. I'm just saying.
It's competitive forfeiting, okay? Where's the fun in just throwing in the towel all the time? You gotta at least try.
All right. Well, this has been a fantastic run. Just even watching 8 screens, you guys all, you could see the teamwork happening. You could see responsibilities being parsed out and the different choices you guys made, and really made it a great run for us and our viewers. I do want to get some final thoughts out, and we'll start with Trash Island. And just because I'm looking at a list of names, we'll start with Demon Frog. So we'll do Demon, Fizzle, Danny, and then Wappy. Go ahead, Demon.
I mean, this week is the ultimate. It is a randomizer, and we randomized the randomizer. So it was a lot of fun. I love League. It's so great because it's just so different week to week. So League is easily my favorite tournament that we do, and the fact that it was team based this year, I love it. It was so much fun, and I already can't wait for next year.
Fizzle.
I just want to thank everyone for indulging me on my crazy idea of a 4v4 finals race with all of this weird stuff. It's been everything that I hoped it would be, and I hope everyone else enjoyed it as well. And thanks for sticking around for the entire league, those of you out there who have been keeping up with everything. It's been great. We'll see you next league.
And I don't think I ever actually said this, but Fizzle was the mastermind behind Fizzle's Tri-State mystery that we just had. And personally, having run this a number of times, I thought this was a fantastic flag set. So thank you for putting that together. Very, very well done. Danny, go ahead.
Fall League, not as even a participant, and became the official Fall League fill-in person. I've now been on 2 teams. So, but yeah, I filled in for Turnin today. So sad Turnin couldn't participate, but it was nice dusting off my Trash Island Fire Department helmet for a day. And I had a lot of fun with these guys. And Fall League was just a lot of fun. Everybody seemed to have fun with it. It went really well. So look forward to the next one. And thanks to everybody who did stuff today, the crew who all pitched in, because this is not an easy race by any means to broadcast. So it took a lot of people, and so thank you to everybody who chipped in and helped make this possible today.
Wappy.
We did it.
That's perfect.
I'm probably done racing forever. See y'all in the Discord, but it's a fun final race, I guess.
And to our third place finishers in the Fall League, Center for Competitive Forfeiting, Caleb, let's start with you.
Thank you, Davis. Thank you, Davis Darkmoon, for doing the commentary, Rock Solid, and Dingo Brewer, and Shadow Flames, and all the folks that helped out behind the scenes getting this up and going. Appreciate y'all's hard work. Going into this, I didn't think we were going to do as well as we did as a team in general for the whole league, but I'm really proud of the team that we have here and how we were able to get through the fall league and sort of lift each other up and kind of carry us through, because there were definitely some weeks where everybody did a little bit of heavy lifting on their own, and if it wasn't for any one person on this team, we wouldn't even made it to this race. So I'm super proud of these guys, and to race against Trash Island Fire Department, a storied franchise in Final Fantasy Randomizer team play, is honor and a privilege. Wappy, I'm sorry to hear that might be your final race, but you're not the first person to tell me that in the past 24 hours. So GG's to you guys. This was a ton of fun. I did have a question for the other team that I thought of, Davis. Did Wappy get his wish with Danny doing Danny things in the team chat?
It was actually kind of disappointing.
Oh.
I mean, there was a little bit, but I expected a lot more of, Danny things.
Things went too swimmingly.
I mean, but she
did
did
a little bit.
She did say a lot of it before we started racing. So.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah, GG's, guys.
I may not have called Carrie a couple of names that Wappy unfortunately proper directed him because he was talking. But it was fine.
Oh, I love this community. Chad, go ahead. Chadbert.
I want to start off by saying GG to Trash Island Fire Department, and thank you for finding a way to make the race happen, because we just had delay after delay for good reasons. So I'm just glad the race happened, regardless of how it ended. Also wanted to thank Darkmoon, Danny, Gregley Puff, and everybody else that managed the Fall League and help make it happen. And thank everyone that's managed this race specifically, because this would be chaos. and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
All right, Froggy Dog, and then we'll finish up with Rubes.
Yeah, everything's already been said. We owe thanks to a lot of people, but I'm real proud of this team, and it's a great time doing this.
Rubes.
And the only people think is the wonderful viewers and other members of the Final Fantasy Randomizer community.
Oh yeah, them.
Speaking of the wonderful Final Fantasy Randomizer community, if you enjoyed some of this craziness and just want to jump in and get your hands on Final Fantasy Randomizer, head to finalfantasyrandomizer.com and you can start rolling seeds right there. Highly recommend joining our Discord. Actually, this is the absolute perfect day to start Final Fantasy Randomizer, because tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we are going to have our first of the Duckling Boot Camp weeks. So these are flags that are specifically designed for brand new players to learn about the game and learn about some of our key strategies. And you're going to be kind of given a tutorial on how to run by some of our greatest runners. I believe tonight, if I remember correctly, our Duckling Supreme is going to be running our flags tonight and having a nice conversation about tips and strategies that they've learned throughout the last many months. We do want to thank specifically RPG Limit Break for allowing us to use their channel. We love a lot of these broadcast partners that we work with, and definitely thank you to RPG Limit Break. Darkmoon. Hey, do you have any thoughts, questions? No.
No, I don't have any questions for the runners. I do want to make sure that everyone out there follows the runners that we have. Demon Frog, Lord Fizzlebeef, Danny, 3883, and Wacky from the Trash Island Fire Department, as well as our third place winners, Caleb, Chadbert, Froggy Dog, and Rubes 00 from the Center for Competitive Orbiting. As BVS said, make sure you hit up FinalFantasyRandomizer.com for the randomizer, the Discords, and all the information. And yes, please tune in tonight at 10 o'clock for the premiere of our Duckling Boot Camp for this year, leading up to, in the middle of January, our Duckling Derby, 4 races to pit our new Ducklings together to see who will become the next Duckling Supreme. And then I think we have in the works to follow up immediately after that a little winter double anti-bingo tournament that we're working on getting planned out, and that will take up right up until spring tournament. So a whole lot of Final Fantasy Randomizer action coming to you throughout the week. Make sure you follow, of course, our trackers as well. DBS, do you have that list? Because it was a lot of us.
Yes, we have Dingo Brewer, Jay Scheidel, Reese Wolf, and Shadowed Flames are tracking for us. 4 people, 8 runners, massive spreadsheet, and it is what's most surprising to me is how easy it is for this to read this information, and how much they've been pushing stuff our way. So huge shout out to our trackers, for really helping us keep track of things.
Yes, hey, that's why they're named that. Look at that. All right. So you want to take us home, DVS?
Sure, why not? That was my co-com, Dark Moon EX. I'm DVS. Streaming is DVS7 on Twitch. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for being a part of this community. Please join us. It is a load of fun with a lot of wonderful people. And one last shout out to Trash Island Fire Department, our 4th place finishers, and the Center for Competitive Forfeiting, our 3rd place finishers. And I hope to see a lot of you at the Duckling Boot Camp stream tonight at 10 o'clock Eastern.
On RPG Limit Break.
Thanks, everyone. Good night.